The Fan. Sports Center.
Good evening, I'm CB. Ryan Day made it official today over at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. He named second-year quarterback Julian Sayin the starter against Texas in 2 weeks. And this is what Day had to say.
Julian Sayin will be the starting quarterback against Texas. It was a close competition. I think both guys, we all feel confident, can win a game for us. I think Julian separated himself really over the last week with his consistent play. I feel like our guys are confident again with both quarterbacks. I think we'll need both quarterbacks.
You can hear more from Day on the upcoming season kickoff show at 6:36 with Skip Mossick, Paul Keels, and Jim Lachey. Other quarterback news, the Browns made 19-year veteran Joe Flacco their starter for the opener against the Bengals. Breaking sports.
From Learfield, this is the Ohio State Season Kickoff Show, presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast and brought to you statewide by Encova Insurance and by your Central Ohio Toyota dealers on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics. Now, along with former OSU All-American Jim Lachey and the voice of the Buckeyes, Paul Keels, here's your host, Skip Mossick.
Are we ready for some football? Yes, sir. Welcome to our season kickoff show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast. Plenty of discussion the next 2 hours about the upcoming season with former OSU All-American Jim Lachey. It's that time.
It is that time of the year, Skip, and happy to be with you guys again.
Hall of Fame broadcaster, longtime voice of the Buckeyes, Paul Keels.
New season, new quarterback, new excitement, new chapter.
Coach Ryan Day will join us later this hour. Jim, we'll begin with you. Expectations we know are always going to be sky high at Ohio State. We've had a chance to witness and be a part of two previous national championship teams. You know, the following years were good years. Now, not good enough to repeat, but in today's day and age, I mean, it would have been good enough to get in the CFP. I want to say 11-1 in 15, 10-2 in 03. Different world today.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, those years, it wasn't good enough. I mean, certainly when you only had two teams, you know, the Ohio State-Miami game that year, 2003, you know, it was a very good year, but just, again, not good enough to get back to the final game, the national championship game. Same thing in 14 when you're taking four teams, you get to 15. Good year, you know, a team that was probably getting better as the year went, but didn't get that opportunity. Now with 12 teams, and, you know, they're always talking more and more expansion, there's an opportunity, a good opportunity to go out there and get a chance to defend. And, you know, that would be, I guess, the goal for this team is to take care of business, to find a way to get into the playoffs, and then, you know, get hot again at the right time.
Realistic expectations, Paul, for Ohio State. And again, might they just be in a position now with this new format just to be there in the end to put themselves in a position to repeat?
Well, absolutely, Skip. But you know what happens at the end, too? There's that end of regular season game that is kind of hanging out there like a disease that won't go away. So there's kind of two parts of it. Yes, get into the playoffs like last year, but there's also the other side where folks want to see a win in that rivalry column.
So much anticipation for the season opener against top-ranked Texas. You don't have to go back too far to find another marquee opponent to open the season. I want to say Notre Dame was number 5, I believe, when they came into Ohio Stadium in 22. But how does this feel different coming off what was really a great game between these two teams in the Cotton Bowl in January?
Yeah, the guys that scheduled that years back were thinking this, you know, this is, what's the odds of this happening, you know, after that semifinal game where, you know, man, we could relive that one forever. You know, Jack scored with a scoop and score. And, you know, I remember thinking up there in the booth that, okay, just give us enough time if they do score that, you know, we can go down and get a field goal to win this ball game. But we didn't need that after that scoop and score and the interception they had after that to seal the deal. But quality football team, we saw that last year, a lot of talent. But like us, are replacing guys, you know, especially on that offensive line. Some of the defensive players are going to be gone, but there's still a lot of good familiar faces when I was doing that charts, kind of getting ready for that game, that are back for the Longhorns. So same with Ohio State. You know, you look at the back end for us, we got a lot of guys coming back on the defensive side, wide receivers, now the key spots, quarterback, offensive tackle, yeah, we got to step up, and the running back position.
Quarterback is always going to be topic of conversation, Paul. And it seems like you're going back to the last several years, even though only one can play, but there's most likely you're going to see more than one, especially the first month.
Well, and especially with the anticipation, Skip, of a long season, if it goes as long as it did for both schools last year. Different scenarios with Texas. They've got Arch Manning, who started a couple of games and had more quality reps than what Julian Sand had, 4 games really in mop-up duty. So, the most important position in the field, and at least the one that's talked about the most, new guys in new roles.
Jim, you've been to practice a lot. What are you most excited to see when this thing gets going for real on the 30th?
I'm excited to see that linebacking group with Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese. Both those guys, man, they if you're going to print out a 3D printout of a linebacker, both those guys would be the similar type guys you want. I talked about our defensive backs, Davidson, Igman, Nosenback. Excited to see, obviously, what Jermaine Matthews, I think he brings a lot to the table. And then Caleb Downs, All-American type player last year, a preseason All-American guy this year, back for another season. This will probably be it for Caleb, but, what he's been able to do has been impressive. And then I think the offensive line, having 3 basically line coaches. We know that Tyler Bowen is the head guy, but the other guys that they brought in, they're getting a lot of individual attention. Good or bad, I don't know. We're going to figure that out against this, Texas Longhorn D-line.
Ohio State and Texas in a top 3 matchup to open the season August 30th at Ohio Stadium. We'll be on the air with the AEP Energy Buckeye pregame show beginning at 10:30 a.m. Coming up, we'll start breaking down Ohio State's schedule game by game. We'll begin with one of the road matchups against another team with high expectations in 2025, and that's Illinois. We'll hear from Illini coach Brett Bielema next as our season kickoff show continues.
You're listening to the Season Kickoff Show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Ready?
It doesn't matter if you're playing hard or working hard. Your workout only works out if you recover right. Chocolate milk helps you recover for what comes next. It's delicious and contains the right mix of protein and carbs to help refuel exhausted muscles. From biking to bench presses, Milk's protein helps you build lean muscle and gain more from your workouts.
Ready? Recover. Repeat. Brought to you by the American Dairy Association Mideast, a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, 2-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance and their local independent agents are prepared for what's next and protect what matters most to you. Whether that's your home, car, business, or family, Encova's got your back with a policy that fits you perfectly. With local independent agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova's playbook is an easy win for your peace of mind. You can trust their team of agents to develop a strategy that's just right for you. And it's not just X's and O's. Your expert agent will guide you and provide insurance solutions so you can confidently manage your risk and count on a financially secure future. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you. Encova is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
AEP Energy wants to know if you're ready to say goodbye to higher rates and hello to savings. Get your energy costs under control by locking in a fixed rate for your electricity supply. You'll lower your bills and get price protection from rising rates. Take control and lock in a low fixed rate. Visit aepenergy.com/OSU to get started. AEP Energy, the official electricity and natural gas sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. AEP Energy is a competitive retail electrical and natural gas service provider and affiliate of Ohio Power Company, AEP Ohio. AEP Energy is not soliciting on behalf of and is not an agent of AEP Ohio.
When you're here, you understand what it means to be a Buckeye. And at Elk & Elk, we're proud to wear scarlet and gray every Saturday. Every client, every day, means if you're ever injured, we're proud to stand with you in court. And when you're here at the shoe, we're proud to stand with you and cheer on the Buckeyes.
Whether we're here at the big game or in court, we are committed to you.
Elk & Elk, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
For over 37 years, Buckeye Nation has known Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse for serving the best steaks in the city. Our thick-cut, aged steaks are a staple in Columbus, with 3 locations in Upper Arlington, Dublin, and downtown. And just like the Buckeyes, we strive for excellence and an experience like no other. Hyde Park is proud to introduce the newly added wine room at our downtown Columbus location, where a new elegance in dining surrounds you, creating the ideal setting for any occasion or the perfect night out. Hyde Park is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
Your home of the Buckeyes, the Fan. This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Welcome back, everybody, into our season kickoff show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast. A reminder from Ohio's dairy farmers, 8 ounces of delicious chocolate milk has 8 grams of high-quality protein with the power to fuel everyone from elite athletes to weekend warriors. With Jim Lachey and Paul Keels, I'm Skip Mossick. Again, Ohio State opens the season against Texas on Saturday the 30th, 12 noon kickoff at Ohio Stadium. Following that much-anticipated opener, 2 more home games to begin the season. September 6th, 3:30 against Grambling State, 5-7 a year ago. Paul, 2-6 in the SWAC. Regardless of what happens against the Longhorns, you have to think the Week 2 matchup against Grambling is a great opportunity to make whatever corrections need to be made from Week 1.
Well, and the million-dollar question has been, why Grambling State? And what people may not know, UConn was supposed to be a non-conference opponent this year. And the UConn game was going to be in late September, where the first bye is. UConn wanted out for whatever reason, maybe to focus on basketball, which they've been pretty good at. So Ohio State did not want to have the bye the second week, which is where it would have been. The only school, Division I or FCS or FBS or any division they could get was Grambling State. So that's why Grambling State is in Week 2, coached by Mickey Joseph, former interim coach in Nebraska, where he was also a quarterback.
This is Ohio State's 136th year of playing football. This will be the first time.
First time against Grambling State, who's also coming here later in the year for basketball, too.
Yeah, no. So, again, I think
it has something to do with it?
I wonder.
You know, this is something that, again, the schedule makers, went out, had to find a team, as Paul, talked about with UConn, getting out of that contract. And, I can see Gene, trying to maybe going to get what a Grambling State. I think it's great. Great for Ohio State, great for the kids at Grambling to come up here and play in Ohio Stadium. They got some players. Believe me, I played with Charlie Joyner, who went to Grambling, and Doug Williams. 2 great guys out of Grambling. So they produce, pro athletes, and they have, especially when Eddie Robinson was there over the years, and those guys went on to do some great things. But Mickey Joseph is the head coach, former quarterback in Nebraska. Coached in Nebraska a couple times when we did their games, coached wide receivers. Coached at, I think LSU, too. I think he spent some time over there.
You know what? Weeks 2 and Weeks 3, there'll be some real good opposing bands coming
exactly.
in.
No doubt. That'd be fun to watch.
Was Charlie Joyner the last NFL guy to wear the old skinny
the single bar?
The 2-bar. It was the skinnier 2-bar, but no.
You mean non-kicker?
Yeah,
I mean, Ralph Panushka wore the 1-bar.
So Theismann, same thing.
Exactly.
Week 3 is interesting. Paul mentioned it. A night game against the Ohio Bobcats. 11-3 a year ago. Champions of the MAC. They beat Jacksonville State in the Cure Bowl. New head coach, but Brian Smith was able to retain some key pieces, including Parker Navarro at quarterback. Paul.
That's going to be big. And, Brian Smith elevated from the coaching staff to take over. And, it's interesting. You look at Ohio University, they open at Rutgers, and then they host West Virginia in Athens. And apparently there's been a big push on tickets to try for people to try and get into Peden Stadium for that. But it'll be interesting to see. I know everybody loves to have a night game, but it'll be a 3rd straight year with the night game of the MAC school. Maybe 4th straight year, I think.
This might be the game that Brutus needs security, right? Because didn't Rufus beat him up last time?
Is it Rufus or whatever the Bobcat's name is?
I think it's Rufus. Who knows? But Rufus beat up Brutus in that ball game. So, we'll have to get him some extra security. We'll have to get to work on that.
Don't sleep on the MAC. I mean, it's easy to forget. I'm sure Notre Dame's not forgetting what Northern Illinois did to them last year.
No, not at all. And certainly, Ohio with a bowl win last year. And
Yep.
really, when you think about what they've done ever since Coach Solich got there from Nebraska, it's really been a continued upward trend.
And the quarterback, Parker Navarro, I think is going to be the guy that gets the job. Of course, we saw Curtis Warwick was able to do that before he went to Indiana and had a fantastic year last year.
5 road games ahead for Ohio State this season. We'll talk more in depth about Washington and Michigan later in the show. But Saturday, October 11th, should be an interesting matchup as Ohio State is at Illinois. 10-3 a year ago. 6-3 in the Big Ten. They beat South Carolina in the Citrus Bowl. Earlier, Paul had a chance to visit with their head coach, Brett Bielema.
And certainly it's all about this year, but how can a 10-win season last year springboard you into 2025?
Paul, when I took this job, the thing that our AD, Josh Whitman, and I talked about was, sustaining success. And, 2 years ago, we were able to get to a bowl game, really close in a couple games, didn't get past the hump, but it was an 8-win season. Then we filed back to a 5-win, and then last year to rebound to a 10. It's hopefully a step in the right direction, but like you just said, it's all about what we do this year. Last year is behind us. It has put us in a position to at least, get in the conversation, which is a great thing, but we got to follow through this year.
One of the things we've heard a lot of coaches talk about, Brett, and you as well, how important has roster retention been?
It's paramount. I think, especially for a place, I'm not saying we're, strictly pure development. We've signed about 20 kids every year the last 3 or 4 years, so we still strongly believe in that. But, for us, even like Luke Altmaier, he's our returning quarterback 3 years, he was a transfer, right? And I'm sure he was talked to by several other teams, and that moment was there. There's other guys that I know were presented opportunities to leave us. So to retain your best players, I think it has to start there. And we actually last year, as you know, was a 2-bye-week year for everybody. So we started, having those conversations literally in the first bye week and for sure in the second, just because it comes on you so fast as the season gets going.
Brett, where has Luke developed both as a player and as a leader on your team?
By far the biggest growth for him, in my opinion, has been the response and the really the learning that took place from adversity. I think we all always go to the high points in our life, right? No matter our age. I think as men we obviously do that quite a bit, but you learn most of your moments of adversity. So he's learned a little, before he got here, but then especially that year, his first year as a starter, to go through some things to get to where he was last year, and then I think now the maturity that he has, he's a very intentional person, like in his leadership, his dedication to the sport, his dedication to his faith. He's a very intentional guy, and I think we're going to see another step this year, and hopefully it's going to be another big step in the right direction.
Safe to say, Brett, that you're returning offensive line or something that's a big part of that?
We do. To have 5 guys that started our bowl game back with us, with 4 of our main guys that started every game, then our right guard started, I believe, 4 or 5 games. So to have that play experience, and then even on top of that, to be honest, Paul, our right tackle, even before we got him, he started 2 years of college football at Grambling. Our left tackle started 2 years at New Mexico before he came here. So not just play reps here at Illinois, but also play reps in college football, which I think are a big part of it.
Can getting Caden Fagan back in the backfield help running the football?
I think the combo platter of our offensive line back with, Caden and Aiden Lawfrey, our other back, and we have a third guy, Khalil Valentine. They do kind of remind me of a combo when I had Monty Ball, James White, and John Clay, and Melvin Gordon at Wisconsin, where there was kind of each one of those guys were all good players, but they all have different skill sets. And I think that's the thing with these 3 guys in particular, that Caden's obviously a really big back that plays to his strengths. Aiden's kind of in the middle like Monty was, and then James White was a smaller third down back that was very versatile, and that's kind of what Khalil Valentine. So it's for the first time in my tenure here at Illinois, I think that I have depth and also different skill sets, which I think could be a problem on defense.
Oh, I remember that group of running backs in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Defensively, Brett, with the group that you've got in the secondary and the back end, is that something that can be a great building point from the back end forward?
For us defensively, I was a D coordinator before I became head coach. A lot of what you can do up front is directly tied to what you can accomplish in the back end. A lot of people overlook that, but like a lot of the things that we are able to do with a Gay Backus up front, with Summer, I think we have an outside linebacker room that's very talented, a couple D linemen. A lot of what we can do with them depends on what we can do in the back end, and to have a guy like Xavier Scott, literally a Thorpe Award guy last year that I think is playing his best football. Miles Scott, not related, but another really good player. Matt Bailey, who returned last year to college football, who's a really good, accomplished player, multi-year starter. Other guys on the perimeter, Caleb Patterson, Jaheim Clark, Torrey Cox, just a lot of depth in that back end that for me as a coordinator, as a head coach, we can really utilize not only their skill sets but their play strengths, and that does allow us to play a little different up front.
Brett, we talked about Luke Holtmeyer, but you've got more than a dozen returning starters from last year. Does that help the leadership quotient?
I think for more than anything, Paul, it just builds confidence, right? Like when guys have been there, done that. We say in our program all the time, volume reflects confidence, right? And the volume that they speak with, the way that they can talk about what they have gone through, both good and bad. I think that's a big deal. Yeah, we have, I believe, 18 starters back from our bowl game that really 16, 17 guys for the season, including our kicker, our snapper. We got a new punter, but he started at Purdue a year ago. So I think to have that gives you confidence. But, I always say, like, not one tackle, not one touchdown or one turnover comes into 2025, right? Those were all left on the stat sheets a year ago. And what they do this year is going to be a reflection of how they play and how they prep.
It's been a while since we've seen this much anticipation in Champaign that did not involve the basketball. How good might they be?
That's a nightmare. Thinking about some of those basketball teams. They could be really good. And one of the things they've done ever since Brett Bielema got there was roster retention. And when he first got there, he had, I'm going to say, about a dozen super seniors, guys, because of the pandemic that had extra years. So they've been able to get good players, selectively add transfers, and Altmaier, as a returning quarterback, has been the jewel of it all. But to be able to keep guys, and 5 returning offensive line starters, Jim, that's got to make you
rare.
Look good.
No, that's rare. And to me, Illinois is starting to look like Wisconsin did when Bielema was there. Pound the football, have a great suffocating defense, and be good on special teams. And I think that's what he's brought to the Illini there. And you think about the Illini. I mean, we had Ron Turner, Ron Zook, Bill Cubitt, Lovie Smith, who am I forgetting? Tim Beckman was there. So they've been through some coaches since we've been doing this.
Yeah.
I think they're going to find one here, Bielema, that he'll stick as long as he wants. This going into his 5th year now. I think he can be there as long as he wants to be.
It's, again, October 11th in Champaign, and kind of a rare schedule. We'll see back-to-back road games as Ohio State will go from Illinois to Wisconsin. That Jim just alluded to. Luke Fickell's Badgers were 5-7 last year, 3-6 in the Big Ten. A rare season without a bowl game. How much heat is there in Madison?
Quite a bit. And the thing that really was kind of the indicator is when Luke Fickell dismissed his offensive coordinator before the season ended. And now they're making the effort to get back to what people were accustomed to at Wisconsin, and that's emphasizing the run rather than trying to implement the air raid. Now they've got a new quarterback, but he's not new to the Big Ten, Billy Edwards, who is a backup at Maryland. But maybe the biggest problem that Luke Fickell and Wisconsin have had the last few years have been injuries at the quarterback spot.
I think he had 3 transfer quarterbacks come in, so Billy Edwards is probably the guy that's going to get the starting job. I know they want to get bigger on the defensive line, and they did. They got a bunch of 300-pounders to come in. Jeff Grimes is that new offensive coordinator for Wisconsin, so I think they're going to probably go back to what they did best is, pound the football and play great defense. But, look at it. They got a tough schedule. They lost to Alabama at home last year, 42-10. Now they go down to Tuscaloosa week 3. So they're going to, if you look at their schedule, they have a tough one. This is going to be a pivotal year for Coach Fickell, although I think he did get an extension throughout the course of this. So that's just kind of the way college football is now. You got to keep at least 4 years on the contract so they can go out there and recruit guys.
And we've talked about this off the air plenty of time, but you just wonder how much the NIL model has really hurt and limited a place like Wisconsin that was so dominant for so many years.
And part of why they were down to Skip was they were able to get guys and develop them, guys who could redshirt or, they were known for those big burly offensive linemen, but they weren't always that way when they first got to Madison. So now they don't maybe have the opportunity to have that to occur. And, trying to compete financially now is as much a part of the game as anything.
It's always tough to go to Madison. We've seen that over the years. So
it's tough to leave Madison.
Yeah. In the third and fourth quarter, we'll get to experience jump around again.
Buckeyes at Wisconsin on October the 18th. Coming up, we'll get into what should be another really marquee home game against Penn State that will occur on November 1st. We'll chat about that with the Nittany Lions with their radio voice Steve Jones next as our season kickoff show continues.
More of the season kickoff show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast coming up on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Hi, Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safelite Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at safelite.com. Safelite Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
Buckeye fans, game day just got hotter. Whether you're parked in the shoe lot or grilling at home, it's not a tailgate without Weber Grill's Traveler Grill. Fires fast, folds flat, fits compact, and delivers championship flavor every time. Burgers, brats, steaks, even rival fans agree. Bring the taste of victory wherever you grill. The Weber Traveler Grill. Tailgate tough. Buckeye proud. Weber Grills. Taste the tradition. Proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Hosting a passionate crew of Buckeye fans? Revamp your rec room for an epic watch party with power reclining sofas, massaging recliners, entertainment centers, and coffee tables from Bob's. They even have sofas with drop-down tables for snacks and bevs. Shop in-store or online to score big on an incredible game day setup at Bob's everyday low prices. Bob's Discount Furniture, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Buckeye fans, this is for you. Level up with the brand new AAA Buckeyes MVP membership. You'll receive all the benefits of AAA, such as 24/7 roadside assistance, plus chances to win tickets to OSU sporting events, access to exclusive MVP experiences, along with 10% off gear at the Ohio State Team Shop. Already a AAA member? Add the Buckeyes MVP membership upgrade for free. Head to AAA.com/Buckeyes to join the squad and put your fandom in drive.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix, guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with lower prices on over 1,000 items. And you never compromise your appetite with our golden brown bread that's baked fresh in store. And you never compromise your wallet with our lower prices. Hand it to Kroger shoppers. You never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
AgPro has been family-owned and operated for over 64 years. We take pride in developing long-lasting relationships and offering first-class customer service. Need a new tractor, parts for your used equipment, or reliable service? AgPro has you covered. AgPro is here to serve you and your operation as your hometown dealer. Visit us today at any of our AgPro locations or go online to agproco.com to get started with your AgPro experience.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. You're listening to the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Welcome back, everybody, into our season kickoff show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast, along with Jim Lachey, Paul Keels. I'm Skip Mossick. Saturday, November 1st. It has all the makings to be another great matchup in the Ohio State-Penn State series as the second-ranked Nittany Lions come to Columbus. Penn State 13-3 a year ago, 8-1 in the Big Ten regular season, nipped by Notre Dame in the CFP semis. Joined by Steve Jones, longtime radio voice of the Nittany Lions. And Steve, despite losing Tyler Warren, it's easy to see why the anticipation is so high in State College. With the number of players that committed to return, it's hard not to make the comparison to Michigan a couple of years ago, Ohio State last season. Is that a fair point?
Look, roster retention, Skip, means everything at this stage of the game. If you're developmental programs like Ohio State and Penn State, because they both do a great job of developing talent, then if you can retain that talent, it makes a big difference. And then you can be selective in the transfer portal, which is what Penn State has done. And it's a big advantage when you start out with a quarterback that has 29 starts under his belt. That's really important. And then you add in the other parts around him. The fact, Skip, that so many guys came back, that's made a big difference in terms of just the learning curve isn't even as steep because Andy Koltonicki's into his second year as the offensive coordinator. I think it makes a big difference.
Oh, great one. With so many coming back on defense, how does that fit into what Jim Knowles wants to do?
Omnipotent one, it's always a pleasure.
Our night's better for your presence.
So, look, Jim Knowles makes a difference because he understands, the league. He understands how to play it. The question is, do you have the players to play it at this point? And he does. At Ohio State, same thing. Look at all the roster retention on last year's championship team. Sawyer, Tuliamalo, Denzel Burke, and then you added in Caleb Downs, who ended up being perfect what Jim wanted to do. He's got a lot of the same thing here, but Deni, Dennis Sutton, Zane Duran, Dominic DeLuca, Tony Rojas, and Zakee Wheatley. Plus he has two corners, Paul, that makes such a difference in Elliott Washington and A.J. Harris, because if you have two really good corners, that gives you the creativity you can have with the other 9 players.
Who's going to step up for Abdul Carter? He was such a great player throughout his career at Penn State, and obviously now with the Giants. Who is kind of going to play that role?
Jim, Penn State signed Michael Strahan. We thought that was...
You can afford him.
Deni Dennis Sutton is the guy that's going to step up and play that role on the outside for Penn State. And then Zariah Fisher, who's had to battle so many injuries, finally has been healthy during the course of the preseason. But Deni Dennis Sutton, this is his moment, his time. He's always been the guy that's been really, really good, making some big plays. But because Carter was spectacular at times, sometimes Deni got overshadowed. But you notice in the Notre Dame game in the semifinal, who's the guy that dropped into coverage and picked off the pass that put Penn State in front? It was Deni Dennis Sutton, and he gives you that kind of versatility because of his size, but also because of the fact that he's so nimble out there.
Steve, where did Drew Aller improve, and where does he need to continue improving?
3 to 5 foot circle, Paul, where his footwork makes a big difference now. He can step away while still looking downfield. I think that's made a big difference for him. He also is quick when it comes time to run. He's not going to sit there and you're going to put a watch on him and go, whoa, my goodness, he's 4'3". That's not going to happen. But his first 10 to 15 yards, he gets going, especially in a straight line. But to me, Paul, it's that 3 to 5 foot circle. Plus now I think he has the wide receivers to throw to. You can't have a playoff game like Penn State did with Notre Dame where the wide receivers had no catches. Now with Kyron Hudson from USC, Devontae Ross from Troy, and then you add in Trevor Pena from Syracuse, he's got 3 guys now I think that he can depend on at the wide out spot to then spread everything out.
Did all those wide receivers get on campus, for spring ball, and they've all had a chance to work with each other for a lot of time?
Jim, Ross and Hudson did. Pena did not come in until after spring practice. So, and what was interesting is that when Aller went out to California to go to a passing camp, Hudson drove in every day from Los Angeles to work with him. And, I mean, that's made a big difference. And then you add in a guy like Luke Reynolds at tight end. He's one of those guys who played the role of the third guy last year. But when you're in a developmental program, now it's his turn to step up, and he's got the kind of hands Warren has, maybe not the versatility. Very few people have that Swiss Army knife ability like Warren.
Steve, I'm not going real far out on a limb here to guess that this will probably be another big noon kickoff with Ohio State and Penn State. I know how the fan base feels about it here. We got a pretty good sense last fall in State College. Is the feeling pretty mutual over there?
Oh, I mean, I know they get ratings for doing this. I got it. It's a business. I got it. But boy, oh boy, the fan base is sitting there, and every time they see it's new, they just grit their teeth and say, "What are we doing here? Penn State, Ohio State should be in prime time, right?" And that's what they want. But when's the last time the fans got what they wanted?
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's all about the 4-letter word, cash.
Steve Jones, Penn State Radio Network. Steve, we always appreciate your time. Look forward to seeing you in here early November, okay?
Skip, Jimmy, Paul, you guys are the best. I always appreciate you.
Thank you, Steve. Up next, we are scheduled to be joined by Ohio State coach Ryan Day as our season kickoff show continues.
You're listening to the Season Kickoff Show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Now, the officials have been talking for quite some time.
All righty, let's see what they have to say.
Upon further review, there is no penalty on the play. However, we have conferred and discovered that Bob, the line judge, has saved a boatload for his kids' college using Ohio's 529 plan. It is tax-free, accepted nationwide. Bob recommends we all go to collegeadvantage.com. First down.
Well, that's not entirely unexpected.
Classic Bob.
Ready?
It doesn't matter if you're playing hard or working hard. Your workout only works out if you recover right. Chocolate milk helps you recover for what comes next. It's delicious and contains the right mix of protein and carbs to help refuel exhausted muscles. From biking to bench presses, Milk's protein helps you build lean muscle and gain more from your workouts.
Ready? Recover. Repeat. Brought to you by the American Dairy Association Mideast, a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
The best outcomes for treating cancer come from early detection and early diagnosis.
The James Cancer Diagnostic Center at Ohio State
is designed to provide rapid evaluation and a clear diagnosis.
We are transforming care by giving patients direct access.
The cancer experts who study and treat cancer every day.
If you think you have cancer, the choice is clear.
Choose the James Cancer Diagnostic Center.
AEP Energy wants to know if you're ready to say goodbye to higher rates and hello to savings. Get your energy costs under control by locking in a fixed rate for your electricity supply. You'll lower your bills and get price protection from rising rates. Take control and lock in a low fixed rate. Visit aepenergy.com/OSU to get started. AEP Energy, the official electricity and natural gas sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. AEP Energy is a competitive retail electrical and natural gas service provider and affiliate of Ohio Power Company, AEP Ohio. AEP Energy is not soliciting on behalf of and is not an agent of AEP Ohio.
Hey, Ohio State fans, are you looking to score big with your home equity? Union Home Mortgage will help you unlock the value of your home and fund the promises you've made to yourself and your family. If you need to pay off debt, have home improvements, or whatever your family needs are, visit UHM.com and score financial freedom with Union Home Mortgage, the official home lending sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Union Home Mortgage Corp is an equal housing opportunity lender and MLS number 2229.
True North convenience stores are your coffee and fountain champions. Fuel up your game day with True Rewards. Buy 6 True Brew coffees or True Oasis fountain drinks and get your 7th free. Whether you're heading to a game or watching from home, grab a True Brew coffee or an ice-cold True Oasis fountain drink to keep you going all 4 quarters. Find True Rewards in your app store or visit TrueNorthStores.com to get started. True North convenience stores. Fast, friendly, clean. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Your Ohio State flagship station, The Fan. This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Welcome back, everybody, into our season kickoff show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast, along with Jim Lachey and Paul Keels. I'm Skip Mossick. Buckeyes are known for paying it forward. That's why Buckeyes Care strives to serve the betterment of our community by positively impacting families across Ohio. Joint partners, American Electric Power, Donato's, Kroger, the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the James Cancer Hospital, Huntington Bank, and WBNS TV in Columbus in supporting this cause at ohiostatebuckeyes.com/Buckeyes Care. Joined for a few minutes now by Ohio State head coach Ryan Day. His comments are presented by Kroger. And Coach, always like to ask you this week to take us through this last week for your team and coaches before you get into your regular game week routine beginning next week.
I think what you want to do this week is make your checklist as a position coach, as a coordinator, special teams, head coach of what needs to get game ready. We're looking for certain schemes. We're looking for certain techniques, fundamentals. Obviously, in the first game, it's going to be very important to play disciplined football, to tackle well, to block well, take care of the football. Obviously, no missed assignments and play clean. And so, you want to really work on that this week to make sure everything's game ready going into game week.
Coach, all the scrimmages are over. You guys settled on quarterback. Is it time now to start looking at the Longhorns, or are you kind of holding that back, or are you starting to work a few things in this week and start watching film on Texas?
Yeah, we've been watching, obviously, as you know, for the last, month, but up until this past Saturday, the focus has been on us to install our fundamentals. But then as we transition, guys moved out of the hotel over the weekend. The good news is this week we don't have classes. And so this is the first time really since I can remember that this week we don't have classes. Typically we would have started tomorrow. We don't start until next Tuesday. So this is really a great week for us and certainly starting to get after, the film, starting to look at some of the schematics in the game plan.
Coach Jim mentioned that you made a decision on the quarterback. How important is it, based on your comments at your press conference today, that with both Julian Sain and Lincoln Kienholz, they bring the elements that a team can win with?
Right. I think that's the thing. You're trying to assess who gives you the best chance to win when you're going through this process. And I feel like both guys give us a chance to win. That's the positive. And, we felt like Julian, really had a good camp. And so we're excited to have him as a starter here. And, taking care of the football will be his first start ever. What a way to start as a Buckeye, but we got a good group around him. And he's got to trust what he's done in practice and then go put it on the field and have confidence knowing that, he's going against a really good defense every day.
Coach, every time you have a first-time starting quarterback, I can remember coaches always saying, hey, we got to run the ball. We got to help him out a little bit. And I'm sure that's going to be the case when you're playing the Longhorns. What have you seen out of your backs? James People, C.J. Donaldson, Bo Jackson seem to all have stepped up. I might be leaving some guys out, but those are the three that I've seen get a lot of reps in practice. How have you liked how those guys have all progressed? And you're going to use them all much like you did last year.
That's right. And, they have to be able to do it, in the passing game as well as the running game. I feel like Locke's done a really good job of getting their pads down. I feel like there's been really good evidence, especially coming out of Saturday, of guys running with their pads down. I think one of the things that we look at as a running back is, how many yards they get after contact. And that's important. So we certainly do need the offensive line to play well in the first game. And, if the first guy that's, in the hole is a safety, then certainly the guys up front are doing their job. But it doesn't always work that way. But either way, it's important for the running backs to make that guy miss or, finish falling forward. And so that's important. But also in the run game, as we know, it's protection, route concepts, and playing without the football.
Coach, on the other side of the ball, the fact that Sonny Styles was given the Block O emblem speaks for itself. But is this a continuation of the way he finished playing at the end of the season last year?
I think he's one of the guys that has confidence going into the first game because he played so much football last year. There's only a handful of guys who can say that. And when you've done it before, I said it today in the press conference, you're remembering, you're not learning. And when you do things for the first time, a lot of times as a starter, you're learning. He's going to be remembering. And I've been really impressed with his leadership, and when you're a leader, you have to perform. You have to produce. You got to put it on the field. You got to carry the weight of the team. And so I know he's ready to do that, and he's shown all the signs that he will do that this season.
When you look at your secondary, you got a lot of experience back there. When you look at David Snegmanosen's played a lot of football. Caleb Downs been terrific his first 2 years, and that's going to continue. I've seen enough of Jermaine Matthews to know that he can play, and I know they got some quality backups behind there. How has that group come together throughout training camp?
Yeah, I think there's been great competition. And when you're in preseason, guys are getting plenty of reps. You're getting three groups going, and they're getting a lot of reps. And so they're getting better. They're learning. They all need experience. And, they're going against good receivers. So I feel like, it's a group that, throughout the season, you'll see a lot of guys playing. I feel like, we need to continue to build depth at safety. I feel like we have some really good depth at corner, and then also, at linebacker is strong, and then in the defensive line, we need to probably rotate some guys throughout the season, throughout the games, and it's going to be a long season, just like we saw last year. With the offensive line, guys are going to get hurt, and guys are going to have to step up. So. I do feel like there was depth. That was one of our goals for the preseason, was to develop our depth. I think that's been done, but still a work in progress.
Coach, the 22 opener was a marquee one with Notre Dame coming in as a top 5 opponent to start the season. I know it must be stressful for somebody like you, but is it kind of cool, though, to start the year with a matchup like we'll see next week against Texas?
It's great. It's great. I mean, everyone's jacked up. It's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere. Our guys are, really excited about it. 12 days out. We had a full day of work here, and we're jacked up to start the season against Texas. Coach
Ryan Day, we always appreciate your time. We'll chat with you again next week, okay?
Sounds great. Thanks.
Coach's comments presented by Kroger. Kroger Pickup is the easy way to get what you want right when you need it. Try Kroger Pickup today in the Kroger app or at Kroger.com. Again, back to the schedule. I mean, that season opener against Texas is obviously huge, but we've been going game by game throughout the upcoming season. We left off with Penn State last segment. Following Penn State, it's a trip to Purdue, November 8th. The Boilers,
really
1-11 a year ago, winless in the Big Ten. What will it take to get that train back on the track? No tongue-in-cheek in West Lafayette.
Well, Barry Odom has had success. He had success at Missouri, had a real good thing going at UNLV, which led to this. If you read some of the scouting reports and all that, it stands to look as though it could be another rough year. Mm-hmm. They probably get through a couple of recruiting cycles, really, and hope to maybe get some hits like Indiana did in the portal. But they lost. Skip, the biggest problem was not only were they bad last year, but some of their better players, like Max Clare, who came to Ohio State, and Dylan Thieneman, who went to Oregon, so many of their better players left and went elsewhere.
Yeah, they brought in John Henson to be their coordinator from USC. Looked at their offensive line. They got 5 new offensive linemen coming in, so they're going to be kind of piecing that together. But I think we were all impressed with Devin Mockabee last year at running back. I think he was
surprised that he's back there.
Yeah, exactly. He's back for another year. He's sticking around. But yeah, they've struggled, and Ryan Walter there. That era didn't last long, just a short time. Barry Odom again, as you mentioned, Paul. UNLV, he had some things rolling there, but it's hard to turn down a Big Ten job and Purdue's the job that he took. So I expect their defense to come out there and play a lot better than they did in the past.
It's been a house of horrors for Ohio State over there in some years.
Yeah, it has. And almost won here in 12. Was it the Kenny Guyton game?
Kenny Guyton, yeah.
There was
overtime.
Like no chance. I was like, really? This is where we're at with this? Drew Brees was a long time ago, fellas.
Yeah.
Coming up, we'll chat with longtime Ohio State reporter and beat writer Tim May as the season kickoff show continues.
More of the season kickoff show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast coming up on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics.
Buckeye fans, game day just got hotter. Whether you're parked in the shoe lot or grilling at home, it's not a tailgate without Weber Grill's Traveler Grill. Fires fast, folds flat, fits compact, and delivers championship flavor every time. Burgers, brats, steaks, even rival fans agree. Bring the taste of victory wherever you grill. The Weber Traveler Grill. Tailgate tough, Buckeye proud. Weber Grills. Taste the tradition. Proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safelite Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at Safelite.com. Safelite Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, 2-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance and their local independent agents are prepared for what's next and protect what matters most to you. Whether that's your home, car, business, or family, Encova's got your back with a policy that fits you perfectly. With local independent agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova's playbook is an easy win for your peace of mind. You can trust their team of agents to develop a strategy that's just right for you. And it's not just X's and O's. Your expert agent will guide you and provide insurance solutions so you can confidently manage your risk and count on a financially secure future. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you. Encova is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
They're trained. They're prepared.
Let's do it.
They're Ohio's undefeated plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling team. And they're here to tackle your problems. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
American Electric Power is a proud sponsor of Buckeyes Care.
Hi, I'm Janelle Coleman with American Electric Power. AEP comes together with our communities to create a better future every day. Whether we serve, build, or simply share with others, We make Central Ohio brighter for our neighbors. Our collaboration with Buckeyes Care is another way we work to make the future boundless for all.
Keep your summer fun going at Toyota's National Sales Event. Now through September 2nd, get a stylish new 25 Corolla with 4.99 APR financing or 5.99 on Corolla Hybrid. Excludes Corolla Cross and GR Corolla. Or lease a gas-powered Corolla LE for $199 a month for 36 months with $36.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS. Tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details or go to Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics.
Welcome back, everybody, into tonight's season kickoff show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast. With Jim Lachey and Paul Keels, I'm Skip Mossick. Again, everything gets underway starting next week. Our regular broadcast routine, Buckeye Roundtable on Monday, Ryan Day Show on Thursday, and then Ohio State, Texas, 10:30 a.m. with our AEP Energy Buckeye pregame show here on the Ohio State Sports Network. We're old guys. I mean, we were teasing earlier with Steve Jones of Penn State Radio Network about the noon games. We love the noon games because
from a work standpoint,
we're working. Right. But you understand the fans' perspective of liking a later in the day.
Well, and especially a game like Texas, that's one that just screams primetime. And you know the downside to all of that is you end up with some primetime games that you don't necessarily designate for primetime games, like the games against MAC opponents. And you know we've seen some of those at Purdue that were nighttime games. So but it's just everybody talks about the new life of college athletics and big noon. And here's the biggest thing, too. We all know it. It was the big noon fatigue at the end of the year last year. There were so many games at the end of the regular season that were all at 12 noon. Most of them were Fox. One was the Big Ten Network. And, you know, folks, not only do folks love good football at Ohio State, they love good tailgating. And sometimes some of those who are the best at tailgating don't start doing it till later.
Yeah. Believe me, I understand it from the fan perspective.
Sure.
You know, and especially if you're coming 2 or 3 hours away, try to get there for a noon start, especially when you're recruiting guys, you're trying to get the recruits in. Some guys you want to fly in. It's much easier for everybody if it's a night game because you can get all the recruits in and all the fans in. But it still sells out. The noon starts, they still sell out.
Oh, yeah.
And again, because we're working, we like to get off at 5, instead of getting off at midnight or 12:30.
Skip, you remember the 1:30 kickoffs?
I remember, absolutely.
Yeah, those were great.
That was back
set
in
your
the
clock
day.
by that one, baby.
Guys would tell you stories about that. They play golf in the morning, go to the game, plenty of time to get there for a 1:30 kickoff, go to the Highlight afterwards for dinner. It's a routine every home Saturday.
Well, you remember Bo Schembechler used to get upset about some of this stuff, and he said, you tell those blanket TV networks, this is what time we're playing, and if they want to televise the game, that's what time they need to be there.
And that's what's up with television now. It just depends on the conference and the home carrier, because you know that this return matchup next year in Austin is going to be a night game because it's going to be on a different television.
Yes, and it's also not the beginning of the season too, which, what is it, second or third week? But and for people who want to be upset, you can't be upset at Ohio State. It's not the university, it's the conference.
Big Ten.
Who made this agreement.
They made the agreement with Fox and NBC and the Big Ten Network, and it's just the way it's going to be. I mean, those games are all at different times, and we've had to adjust to it. We know how that works.
With the conference, it's expanding as it has, and we touched on this a little bit last year, fellas. We saw it play out with Ohio State. Might the conference championship games that we see eventually, possibly do more harm than good with the expanded playoffs, because there's really not that much on the line other than maybe a flag or a plaque or something in a locker room.
Well, absolutely. And it's, Coach Stressel talked a lot about, we remember the magical season of 2002. Had they had a Big Ten championship game, it would have been Ohio State and Iowa playing, because they didn't see one another during the course of the regular season. And with the way both those teams barely hung on, it was a loss that could have kept one of them, even in Ohio State's case, we know it would have been a loss that would have kept them out of playing for a national championship.
I'm thinking injury, too, more than anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, exactly. I mean, in that, look at Oregon. They had all that time off, and that's what Dan Lanning talked about. We had 3 basic weeks off where Ohio State was able to, kind of get rolling again, play Tennessee.
And not a chance to play at home. Undefeated number 1, they didn't get a home game.
And then, you look at, if you look at Oregon, they're going to say, yeah, the Big Ten championship ring's nice, but we would much rather have, that's what we weren't playing for. We were playing for the, a national championship. Really, you play for both. You'd like to get it along the way, but it didn't work out. We saw Ohio State dominate, but yeah, I mean, Oregon's a perfect example of that. You ask all those guys what they would trade. They would rather have the national championship ring. And, it didn't seem like it tired out Penn State. Of course, they had, SMU to play. And,
sure.
They were a team that they were able to handle pretty easily at home. And, they just ran into it. We should have asked Steve, why did Drew Aller throw it? Or why did they call a throwing play?
Exactly.
I mean, they had that game won. I remember watching that. And where were we? Fort Worth.
Fort Worth.
We
Yeah,
were sitting in Fort Worth when we had the slush party.
Trying to figure out exactly why, because Penn State, it was just that close for the Ohio State and Penn State matching up for a second time for the national championship.
It certainly was. But, one of the great things that we'll all remember from that was that great setting at Ohio Stadium when the Buckeyes played Tennessee.
Yeah.
You can only imagine what it was like at State College for that game there. And, your top 4 seeds didn't get a chance to have a home environment, and they all lost when they finally played their first game in neutral site. So there were a lot of good things that came out of that playoff format, but that's why there's so much discussion now about what changes can be made.
Yeah, a lot of the fans, after losing the team up north, had a bad taste in their mouths. You could see a lot of orange in that stadium. They sold their tickets, and a lot of the Vols came down there, but that was just a classic game where, they walked out, the players did into the stadium and, heard all the orange cheering and got them fired up. And
there was a retreat in the third quarter.
Exactly. They all went back south.
Lots coming up in hour number 2 of our season kickoff show, including Washington. Paul, you looking forward to heading back to the Pacific Northwest?
That's one of the most scenic settings you'll ever see.
We will talk Washington. We'll talk Texas. We'll talk Minnesota, Michigan, and more, including a rare home date with UCLA. That and more as our season kickoff show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast continues on the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
For over 37 years, Buckeye Nation has known Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse for serving the best steaks in the city. Our thick-cut, aged steaks are a staple in Columbus, with 3 locations in Upper Arlington, Dublin, and downtown. And just like the Buckeyes, we strive for excellence and an experience like no other. Hyde Park is proud to introduce the newly added wine room at our downtown Columbus location, where a new elegance in dining surrounds you, creating the ideal setting for any occasion or the perfect night out. Hyde Park is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
AgPro has been family-owned and operated for over 64 years. We take pride in developing long-lasting relationships and offering first-class customer service. Need a new tractor, parts for your used equipment, or reliable service? AgPro has you covered. AgPro is here to serve you and your operation as your hometown dealer. Visit us today at any of our AgPro locations or go online to agproco.com to get started with your AgPro experience.
The great thing about Atlas Butler is they do it all. Heating, cooling, plumbing. Look, I'm busy with work. I don't have time to wait around or deal with lots of people. One company, one call, and they do it all. Wonder if they'll clean out my inbox. Seriously, offer that service. Please.
Atlas Butler is at your service. Call 1-800-FURNACE.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Go behind the scenes of one of the most recognizable landmarks in all of college athletics with a tour of Ohio Stadium, presented by Experience Columbus. A seasoned redcoat will be your guide as you make your way through walls of the stadium, into the press box, and onto the field. Upgrade to the VIP package and get special access to the band center and the Ohio State home locker room. From corporate outings and school groups to single-person tours and small families, Ohio Stadium tours offer a variety of options and pricing. For more information, visit ohiostatebuckeyes.com and book your tour. Ohio Stadium Tours, presented by Experience Columbus.
When you're here, you understand what it means to be a Buckeye.
And at Elk & Elk, we're proud to wear scarlet and gray every Saturday. Every client, every day means if you're ever injured, we're proud to stand with you in court. And when you're here at the shoe, we're proud to stand with you and cheer on the Buckeyes.
Whether we're here at the big game or in court, we are committed to you.
Elk & Elk, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars, Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good evening, I'm CB. It's official. The Buckeyes have a starting quarterback to begin the season. Ryan Day made it official today during his press conference over at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. He named second-year quarterback Julian Sain the starter versus Texas in 2 weeks. The Browns also made a quarterback decision today. They ended up going with 19-year veteran Joe Flacco as their starter for the opener at home against the Bengals. The Reds will start a West Coast trip. They will start off with the Angels tonight. Brady Singer takes the mound for the Redlegs, and you can catch that game right here on The Fan beginning at 9:38. The Guardians will also head out west. They'll start a series tonight against the Diamondbacks at 9:40. Gavin Williams will take the mound for Cleveland in that first game. More season kickoff show coming up. Breaking sports news on The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Love your Buckeyes? Love Donato's Pizza? Love cookies? Then you're really going to love this. It's Donato's new Buckeye Cravings Combo. A large one-topping pizza served up with 4 decadent peanut butter frosted chocolate cookies, all for just $19.99. Perfect for game day or any day here in Buckeye Nation. Order your Donato's Buckeyes Cravings Combo today. More pizza, more cookies, more Buckeyes. Donato's. Gotta love more.
AgPro has been family owned and operated for over 64 years. We take pride in developing long-lasting relationships and offering first-class customer service. Need a new tractor, parts for your used equipment, or reliable service? AgPro has you covered. AgPro is here to serve you and your operation as your hometown dealer. Visit us today at any of our AgPro locations or go online to agproco.com to get started with your AgPro experience.
You're listening to the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics.
And welcome back, everybody, into tonight's season kickoff show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast, along with Jim Lachey, Paul Keels. I'm Skip Mossick. October 4th, the Buckeyes will host Minnesota. Gophers 8-5 last year, 5-4 in the Big Ten. Defeated Virginia Tech in the Duke Mayo Bowl. Joined by Mike Grimm, voice of the Golden Gophers. And Mike, Minnesota's defense was really impressive a year ago. I want to say 5th overall. With all that's coming back, is there any reason to not think that Minnesota will be just as strong this season on that side of the ball?
Yeah, that's a good question, Skip. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to that trip in Columbus in early October. Always one of our favorite trips. Hopefully the Gophers can make at least a game of it there for a while against the Buckeyes. Defense, I think this, Skip, the big question marks are they lost their 2 starting cornerbacks. Justin Wally, a 4-year starter, I think one of the more underrated Gophers. I'm beginning my 20th year now with the Gopher Radio Network. I think he was one of the most underrated Gophers in my time here. He was a good Big Ten, all Big Ten caliber player, really all 4 years, and he was really, really good last year. The Colts drafted him in the 3rd round. He was competing for a starting job. Unfortunately, had that season-ending injury here in training camp. But they're going to miss him. And then on the other side is Ethan Robinson, who was a transfer from Bucknell. He came in, started from day one, and was a playmaker. So they have neither of those guys. Zaquan Bryan has 3 career starts. He's got one of those spots locked up. I don't think they're settled yet on the other cornerback, and I think there's a few guys. There's a transfer from Iowa named John Nestor. There's a transfer from North Carolina Central, and the Gophers have done a good job tapping into that FCS market. That's where Robinson came from last year. So I think there's 2 or 3 guys still contending. They might split some time early to figure it out, and to me, that's the big question mark. They're one of the stronger safety groups, not just in the conference, but in the Big Ten with Coy Parrish, Kerry Brown, Aiden Gooseby, Darius Green, who 2 years ago was the starter at safety. Last year, didn't play because of injury and now is fighting for playing time because the other guys that were true freshmen and the redshirt freshmen played so well last year. So I like the defense. New coordinator, Danny Collins. He's been with PJ every year. PJ's been a head coach and has finally worked his way up into being a young defensive coordinator, and he's a very excitable, knowledgeable coach. So I do like the defense.
Mike, first off, we're looking forward to that golf trip up there next summer. Secondly, is Drake Lindsey kind of the guy that everybody's anticipating to take the reins at quarterback, given what the Gophers were able to get out of Max Brosmer last year?
Yeah, and that's a great question, and I'm looking forward to hosting you guys. Hopefully we don't have snow, when you guys come up for that.
June.
You never know here. I am hoping to push our little outing into June, that's for sure. Give us a shot at least. Give us a chance. Drake Lindsey is unquestionably the starting quarterback, redshirt freshman. And you look at the talent, there's some talent across the board in the Big Ten at quarterback. And so when you look at a lot of these preseason publications, that seems to be the big question mark for the Gophers is, can you win in the Big Ten with a redshirt freshman quarterback? There aren't a lot of teams trying that now with the transfer portal, and Minnesota didn't last year. Lindsey was a true freshman. They certainly weren't going to start a true freshman, so they went out and got, as you mentioned, Max Brosmer, who now has a chance to make the Minnesota Vikings. He stayed in town. He was a high-profile street free agent. He's played well in 2 preseason games, and Drake Lindsey, last year as a freshman, was basically attached to the hip of Brosmer, who is one of the smarter players I've ever been around. He processes it quickly. Kevin O'Connell now with the Vikings, who's kind of been a quarterback whisperer over the years, really likes Brosmer. It's part of why they signed him, because he they did the chalk talk thing, and he was incredible. So now the question is, I do believe it is a question mark. I'm not arguing with the magazines and the publications that suggest that it's a question mark, but I don't think the skill set's a question mark. He's got a great arm. He's 6'4", 225, great size. Won a state championship as a high school quarterback in Arkansas. Was their player of the year for the high school ranks 2 years ago down there. And can throw. I mean, he really shapes the ball well. He fits it into spots. So to me, the question will be, can a redshirt freshman read Big Ten defenses? I mean, this is a league of defense, built on defense. And can he get the ball on time, on target, read it, step up, do what you have to do? Is he a year away? Maybe, but I think the Gophers like him so much, the coaching staff, they were willing to say, we're not going to go get a transfer. We're not going to fall into that, trap, if you will. I mean, some teams don't think it's a trap. Some teams have won big by going to get a starter and, or going to get a transfer. Buckeyes a great example with the transfer that won the national title last year. So certainly that can work, but I think the Gophers feel like this kid at a place like Minnesota, maybe it's better to bring in a guy, groom him, have him be a 3 or 4 year starter, and by the time he's a junior or senior, maybe he's a guy that can get a team like Minnesota sneaking into the playoffs the way Indiana surprised everybody last year. I think Minnesota looks at that and says, look, if Indiana can make it, Minnesota at some point, I'm not suggesting this year is a playoff year, but at some point, with the expanded playoffs, that's the big goal now. But Lindsey, they did not go out and get a transfer. I mean, they went and got a transfer, but it was for backup purposes only. This was Lindsey's job from the end of last year. And to me, in today's day and age, you must really love a guy if you're not going to go get a guy to start that has a lot of experience, and they like this kid.
Mike, PJ Fleck, this is his 9th year, and I think I read someplace at a Power 4 coaches, there's only 7 that have been at the program 9 years or more. So, I mean, he's got some longevity. I think he's, the third behind James Franklin and Coach Ferentz in the Big Ten for longevity. How has the Gopher Nation responded to PJ Fleck? I know that he's still rowing the boat. He's got to get a power boat here sooner or later, but he's still rowing and getting it done.
Yeah, it's a good question because I think there's a couple of things at play. One, it's pretty interesting how fast people forget that there have been times in recent memory that this Gopher program hasn't been very good. Jerry Kill came in and rebuilt it. PJ took over from that, took it to the next level. They had that bump in 2019 where they were an 11-win football team. They finished the season ranked 10th in the country, and some people thought, all right, well, that should happen every year. And I think people kind of forget, look, that's hard at a lot of places, and it's hard at Minnesota to do that. So now what PJ's done, and I say this as a compliment, I said this on a Nebraska station last week, and they tweeted it out, and I got a few people saying, "Ooh, he doesn't like PJ." I said PJ's made it boring here. He's won 9. He's won 9. He's won 8. They took a step back in 23, won 8 again last year. And look, 15 years ago, if you strung that group of season win totals together at Minnesota, you would have been, really happy about that. Fleck even talked about it. We had the first coaches show this afternoon, and he talked about the fact that when people are starting to get disappointed, if you only win 8 games here, then that means he's probably done something. So I set that all up by saying I do think locally there are some people who think that he's due for another breakout. 2019 now has been a while ago when he had 10 wins, but he also hasn't had 3 wins or 2 wins, and many coaches in Minnesota have had those kind of seasons. So, I think I'm not suggesting it's this year, but I do think now in this new age of football, and they have done pretty decent at retaining their roster. And I think at Minnesota, you got to build that way and, get a group of kids that have grown together and then you spring it. You spring a year on like Indiana did last year. Now, they did it almost exclusively through their transfer portal. Minnesota will go about it differently if it happens. But I think it's a good question, Jim, in terms of where PJ stands. I think nationally everyone looks at it and says, man, look at that track record at a place like Minnesota. That's pretty darn good. They should be taking that. And I do think locally there are some folks who are like, 8 wins is kind of boring now. You got to do something better. And so will that be this year? Will that be next year? We shall see. But in working with him most every day in season especially, I really like him. I appreciate him. He is who he is. Certainly there's quirkiness, certainly opposing fans and particularly rivals. Fans don't particularly care for the way he goes about it. But being around it, he is the real deal. What he talks about, it's implemented. He admits he's not for everybody, and here we are, year 9 with him now in Minneapolis.
October 4th, Minnesota at Ohio State. Mike Grimm, voice of the Gophers. Mike, we appreciate your time. We'll see you before you know it, okay?
Always great to chat with you guys. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you.
We'll take a look at the season opener against top-ranked Texas with the voice of the Longhorns, Craig Way, as our season kickoff show continues.
You're listening to the Season Kickoff Show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics.
Buckeye fans, game day just got hotter. Whether you're parked in the shoe lot or grilling at home, it's not a tailgate without Weber Grill's Traveler Grill. Fires fast, folds flat, fits compact, and delivers championship flavor every time. Burgers, brats, steaks, even rival fans agree. Bring the taste of victory wherever you grill. The Weber Traveler Grill. Tailgate tough, Buckeye proud. Weber Grills. Taste the tradition. Proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Ready? It doesn't matter if you're playing hard or working hard. Your workout only works out if you recover right. Chocolate milk helps you recover for what comes next. It's delicious and contains the right mix of protein and carbs to help refuel exhausted muscles. From biking to bench presses, Milk's protein helps you build lean muscle and gain more from your workouts.
Ready? Recover. Repeat. Brought to you by the American Dairy Association Mideast, a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
Keep your summer fun going in a new Toyota Camry, America's best-selling car. It's all hybrid all the time with available all-wheel drive. Now through September 2nd, get 4.99 APR financing on any new 25 Camry. Or lease a new Camry LE for just $279 a month for 36 months with $36.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS. Tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details. Or go to Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
AEP Energy wants to know if you're ready to say goodbye to higher rates and hello to savings. Get your energy costs under control by locking in a fixed rate for your electricity supply. You'll lower your bills and get price protection from rising rates. Take control and lock in a low fixed rate. Visit aepenergy.com/OSU to get started. AEP Energy, the official electricity and natural gas sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. AEP Energy is a competitive retail electrical and natural gas service provider and affiliate of Ohio Power Company, AEP Ohio. AEP Energy is not soliciting on behalf of and is not an agent of AEP Ohio.
For over 37 years, Buckeye Nation has known Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse for serving the best steaks in the city. Our thick-cut, aged steaks are a staple in Columbus, with 3 locations in Upper Arlington, Dublin, and downtown. And just like the Buckeyes, we strive for excellence and an experience like no other. Hyde Park is proud to introduce the newly added wine room at our downtown Columbus location, where a new elegance in dining surrounds you, creating the ideal setting for any occasion or the perfect night out. Hyde Park is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
Buckeye football lives here. The Fan. This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Welcome back, everybody, into tonight's season kickoff show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast. Along with Jim Lachey and Paul Keels, I'm Skip Mossick. Saturday, August 30th, the top 3 matchup in the opener as Ohio State hosts Texas, joined for a few minutes by Craig Way, voice of the Longhorns. And Craig, coming off such a great game in the Cotton Bowl between these two teams, we know what the anticipation is like here. What must it be down there in Austin, where the disappointment of coming so close in January must still be a hot topic of conversation?
Well, it is, Skip, and it's probably second only into the anticipation that I feel right now being on with you and Jim and Big Daddy. Right out of the gate. So, yes, but to your question, yes, there's a great deal of excitement, and obviously the guy taking the snaps at quarterback has sparked a lot of conversation and excitement, but I think it goes beyond Arch Manning and the guys who are coming back, and even more to the point, what Sark has done in terms of building this program through the prior seasons, and really and truly, in this is going to be my 25th year in the play-by-play chair, and I have not seen an accelerated development of talent from any coaching staff like I've seen from this group, even inclusive of the national championship team 20 years ago. They're great talent, and Mac was a great coach. But in terms of where Sark had to start and building the talent pool and then developing them and developing the depth, I think that's cause for a lot of excitement about this football team going into the season.
You know, it's been so long since we've talked. It's good to hear your voice. Is the return of so many key pieces on defense, Craig, a big part of that?
I do think so, Paul, and I think, there are bona fide big-time playmakers. I guess I saw the AP poll, the AP preseason All-American team, and I do think that Colin Simmons is an edge rusher coming off a fabulous freshman year, and Anthony Hill, a 3-year starter at linebacker, and Michael Taft kind of locking down the secondary, and the experience they have in that secondary. I think all of that kind of plays into it. One thing I'm really curious to see is, for the past several years, one of the questions going into the season, and it's the case again this year, is how will the interior defensive line stack up? And there's been an answer virtually every year. And now we'll see how it is. They've got a rotating cadre of guys who I think can be playmakers. But until they get out on the field and do it regularly, there's still going to be that question mark. But I do think that defensively, they're going to be very, very sound.
Craig, after last year's classic game, the offensive and defensive lines, you had 4 starters on offense, go on to the next level. Ohio State had 4 of their defensive line go to the next level. So Kyle Flood, has to develop a new offensive line. He's got one guy coming back, it looks like. And, Larry Johnson here for Ohio State is going to have to develop a new defensive line. But that's going to be so key in this ball game. We can talk quarterbacks, wide receivers, all that stuff, but it comes down to the trenches. And you got 2 quality football coaches matching up their wits.
Jim, you know better than any of all of us in our group speaking how important that trench play is going to be, and how important it is, the development on the lines on both sides of the football. And I do think that while DJ Campbell is the lone returning starter, and this goes back to my original point. They had several guys who were in the mix. They were in the rotation. There were several guys who saw action in rotation in that Cotton Bowl game in January. So it isn't like there's a lot of brand new faces, but they do have guys who don't have a great deal of experience, but still, you look at some of the guys that they have and had to step in when other guys got injured, and I think they afforded themselves well. But to your point, on both sides of the ball, and I mentioned the interior, the defensive line, this is going to be one of the curiosities of this football team, how they do on the offensive front and then in the middle of the defensive line, I think, are the two biggest questions on this football team, more so than any other part of the team, offensively or defensively.
Was C.J. Baxter one of those guys injured last year, Craig, and does he help with the punch with Wisner in the backfield?
Yes and yes, Paul. He had a good freshman campaign, and there was a lot of excitement about it, and he was going to be the starting running back, and then went down. I don't think he tore the ACL, but he tore the LCL and the PCL, and that knocked him out for the year. And Wisner, we knew, was talented and capable and shown some flashes and some things, but he really took off last year. Sark said it again today, and he'll continue to say these guys are 1 and 1A, depending on which one you want to call 1 and which one is 1A. They're going to share the load. And they do bring slightly different gifts to the party. They're both fast enough, but CJ's a guy who will run a little tougher between the tackles. And Wisner, of course, if you get him the ball in space, he can do some damage. So I think you're going to see both of them on the field. You'll even see both of them on the field together in some formations in some ways.
Craig Way, voice of the Longhorns. Craig, we appreciate your time. We look forward to seeing you and your crew here coming in here next week, okay?
Hey, I'm looking forward to being up there. It's been too long. 20 years is way too long. I'm excited to get down there and see all the great hospitality again.
Safe travels, Craig. We'll see you here, okay?
Thanks. Appreciate it, fellas.
All right, and we kind of touched on this throughout the year last year, Paul. I mean, marquee games like this are always so special, and they're always so cool to see on the schedule. There was a time where you had teams that were talking about eliminating matchups like this because of the fear of losing, but with the expanded playoffs, you're not out of it. I mean, whoever doesn't win this game is definitely not out of it.
No question. And that adds to some of the excitement. The other part, Greg mentioned it's been 20 years, but we all remember what it was like when Texas came here last time. We remember, number one, that Ohio State lost, but the influx of Texas fans that took over Columbus. I mean, there's certain legendary tailgate parties we know of that ran out of alcoholic beverages.
Yeah, that happens.
Rarely.
Yeah.
Vince Young was ginormous. I mean, it was like the largest human being I think I've ever seen in my life coming in here.
Yeah.
All right, straight ahead, Washington, UCLA, Rutgers, and Michigan as our season kickoff show continues.
More of the season kickoff show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast coming up on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Already prepping for next week's matchup? Get your best rest yet with Bob's Discount Furniture. Shop Bob's and choose from pillows, soft, plush, dual feel, and extra firm mattresses with Bobopedic memory foam that will have you dreaming of game day in no time. So shop in store or online to score the latest and affordable luxury mattresses without the luxury price tag. Bob's Discount Furniture, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Come on over to Heartland and join our family.
Now, community banking is the lifeblood of the American financial system, building strong, lasting relationships. We're just better able to help guide you down life's road. Flexibility is paramount to success. Community banking is alive and well in the Heartland. I'm Scott McComb. Come on over to Heartland, where banking really feels good.
Where banking feels good. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Buckeye fans, choose chill. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. It's got that crisp, refreshing taste that makes those moments when you choose to rise above the noise and choose chill even better. Coors Light is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics, so crack one open and take a sip. Coors Light, choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2025 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado, beer.
Buckeye fans, this is for you. Level up with the brand new AAA Buckeyes MVP membership. You'll receive all the benefits of AAA, such as 24/7 roadside assistance, plus chances to win tickets to OSU sporting events, access to exclusive MVP experiences, along with 10% off gear at the Ohio State Team Shop. Already a AAA member? Add the Buckeyes MVP membership upgrade for free. Head to AAA.com/Buckeyes to join the squad and put your fandom in drive.
Buckeye fans, game day just got hotter. Whether you're parked in the shoe lot or grilling at home, it's not a tailgate without Weber Grill's Traveler Grill. Fires fast, folds flat, fits compact, and delivers championship flavor every time. Burgers, brats, steaks, even rival fans agree. Bring the taste of victory wherever you grill. The Weber Traveler Grill. Tailgate tough, Buckeye proud. Weber Grills. Taste the tradition. Proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
The great thing about Atlas Butler is they do it all. Heating, cooling, plumbing. Look, I'm busy with work. I don't have time to wait around or deal with lots of people. One company, one call, and they do it all. Wonder if they'll clean out my inbox. Seriously, offer that service. Please.
Atlas Butler is at your service. Call 1-800-FURNACE.
The Fan. Ohio sports destination. This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Welcome back, everybody, into tonight's season kickoff show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast. A reminder from Ohio's dairy farmers: 8 ounces of delicious chocolate milk has 8 grams of high-quality protein with the power to fuel everyone from elite athletes to weekend warriors. With Jim Lachey and Paul Keels, I'm Skip Mossick as we continue running down the 2025 Ohio State football schedule. September 27th, it's a trip to the Pacific Northwest as Ohio State is at Washington. Huskies 6-7 a year ago, 4-5 in the Big Ten. They fell to Louisville in the Sun Bowl. Tony Castricone, voice of the Huskies, joins us right now. And Tony, I know nobody wants to make excuses, but really, how tough was the travel factor a year ago? I know how we all felt after just one regular season trip out west in the recovery. Is this just something everybody involved is just going to have to get used to in this new Big Ten? Because I know the road was not a friendly place for Washington last season.
Skip, it's so funny. When you started that question, you said, I know no one wants to make excuses, and I thought you were going to say, I thought you were going to say, Kalen DeBoer leaving late in the window, because, I mean, that's really what threw everything off for this team. It was just so crazy, the job that Jed Fish had to do, getting hired in late January with a mass exodus with the transfer portal opening up one way. And then he had to, find a way to stabilize the roster, which had, I think at one point, had 53 scholarship players on it. I mean, it was the definition of a rebuilding year in Seattle. And I really think that had more to do with it than anything else. Now, look, back-to-back 9 a.m. kickoffs at Iowa and at Indiana, it's not like you're signing up for that necessarily, but, I really think it was more of just kind of a situational thing with all that they lost coming out of 23 and really having to rebuild heading into 24. And I think they feel a lot better about the team that they have this year, and they've only got 3 games going deep into the East this year as opposed to 4.
Tony, you brought in a new defensive coordinator, Ryan Walters, who obviously we're familiar with from his time as he was outstanding at Illinois, he was outstanding at Missouri. Head coach didn't quite work out, but he's back to his familiar role, being a defensive coordinator. How has he changed the Huskies' defense so far?
Yeah, I think everybody's fired up about him. I mean, he's really raised the standard in the room, and I think that one area that Washington really struggled last year was stopping the run. And I think right away what you've seen is they've done some things in the transfer portal to get a lot deeper on the defensive front. They've gone to more of a 5-man front that they'll see on maybe more downs and distances than they have in the past. And so I think that's what's really most important for Washington on the defensive side of the ball. They were one of the best passing defenses in the country last year from a yardage perspective. But a lot of that's because teams opted to run the football against them, and they had a hard time stopping the run. They've got traditionally got good linebackers, lost a lot of veteran linebackers last year. They brought in a couple solid transfers to stabilize the middle of the defense. But it's that front five where I just feel like Ryan Walters, the way that he kind of schemes things up, the way he lines things up, bringing that one high safety down low in order to like kind of creep into the box at times. I think they're going to be a lot more focused on stopping the run this year, and they're going to have the depth to be more adept at doing it.
Tony, what was the excitement factor with what Damon Williams brought at quarterback late in the season?
Oh, I mean, people are fired up about him, and no one's more fired up than Jed Fish. I mean, Jed has been around a lot of good quarterbacks in his life. I mean, he was in New England for a season. I mean, he's been all over the country as a college and NFL coach, and he says this is the first time he's coached a quarterback that he thinks could win the Heisman Trophy. He's such a dynamic athlete. I mean, he's exciting to watch when he runs the football, but he's really, really accurate throwing it, and he's got a lot stronger arm than you might think when you look at his stature. And so he's just an exceptional athlete and a guy that got some really good experience starting the last two games last year. Now, it's not like it was easy. He had to go at Oregon, and out of 30 dropbacks, he was sacked 10 times. But he said, one of the great things about that was he learned a lot about the position. That was his first career college start, and he says he learned a lot about the kind of things that he could have done as a quarterback to avoid those situations. So the line's going to be better, and that's really going to support Damon Williams as he has his first full season as a college starting quarterback.
We used to maybe playing you guys in the Rose Bowl, and that's the last time we played you guys, end of the 2018 season. How has the Huskies and the fans out there in Seattle taken, to being in the Big Ten now? I mean, it's just, I know it's different. I was out in Seattle last year for a wedding on Bainbridge Island. Loved it out there. It's beautiful, but it just doesn't seem like Big Ten country. Are they adapting to Big Ten country now?
Yeah, I think there's excitement that of all the chaos in conference realignment, that it ended up going well for Washington. No one wanted to see the death of the 108-year-old Pac-12 conference. I mean, there's so much tradition and history out here, and you bring up the Rose Bowl. I mean, that's just, that means as much to the Pac-12 as it does the Big Ten. But it could have gone a lot of different ways. I mean, you look at the old Apple Cup rival in Washington State, and they're still kind of, trying to pick up the pieces of what was left. And even with a handful of those programs going to the Big 12, Washington just feels really good about the fact that it got to land in the Big Ten and really be in one of the big two conferences. And I think the fact that you bring traditional powers, UCLA and USC with you, and then I'll tell you guys, this Washington-Oregon rivalry is chippy now. This is very much got some low-key Ohio State-Michigan vibes to it. It's got a 100-year narrative. It's got some vile hatred. And I just think it's really good for the conference that not only does that get to be a new part of the Big Ten, but also that Washington gets to be a part of the Big Ten. It's great for Washington as well.
Tony Castricone, voice of the Washington Huskies. Tony, thanks for hopping on. Look forward to seeing you late next month out in Seattle, okay?
Appreciate it, guys. Go Dogs. All
right. The other West Coast Big Ten opponent this year for Ohio State will be a home date with UCLA on November 15th. 5-7 overall, 3-6 in the Big Ten for the Bruins a year ago. But they did make a big wave in the transfer portal at the quarterback position, who we just saw in December.
Well, and they also got, not only did they get Nico Iamaleava to go from Tennessee once the Volunteers were done with his act, they got Tino Sinceri to be their offensive coordinator coming from Indiana. So, and much like what Tony talked about with Washington and Jed Fish, remember, Deshaun Foster, that was a late coaching change when Chip Kelly came here. So it'll be interesting to see with a full calendar year and all that if they've gained some traction.
Yeah, you look at UCLA last year, had a tough opener against Hawaii, barely got by them, went for a 5-game losing streak, and then at the end they won 4 of their last 6. So they improved as the year went. What was surprising to me, though, is, Deshaun Foster, we all know him as a great running back, in college.
Yeah, I think he's
and then what he did in the NFL. Yeah. They were 132nd last year in running the football. So I expect that to improve this year, take a little bit of pressure off the quarterback position. Defensively, UCLA has always had some athletes out there that can run around and make plays, but this has to be an improvement in the line of scrimmage. And I think that's what they kind of struggled with last year, not being able to run the ball effectively and playing from behind a lot. And, of course, as I said, they did improve as the year went, but they struggled there early in the year and kind of got them in the hole.
Ohio State and UCLA, November 15th at Ohio Stadium. Coming up, Rutgers and the team up north as our season kickoff show continues.
You're listening to the Season Kickoff Show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics.
Buckeye fans, game day just got hotter. Whether you're parking the shoe lot or grilling at home, it's not a tailgate without Weber Grill's Traveler Grill. Fires fast, folds flat, fits compact, and delivers championship flavor every time. Burgers, brats, steaks, even rival fans agree. Bring the taste of victory wherever you grill. The Weber Traveler Grill. Tailgate tough, Buckeye proud. Weber Grills. Taste the tradition. Proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Ready?
It doesn't matter if you're playing hard or working hard. Your workout only works out if you recover right. Chocolate milk helps you recover for what comes next. It's delicious and contains the right mix of protein and carbs to help refuel exhausted muscles. From biking to bench presses, Milk's protein helps you build lean muscle and gain more from your workouts.
Ready? Recover. Repeat. Brought to you by the American Dairy Association Mideast, a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Hey, Buckeye fans. Are you thinking of consolidating your debt with a home equity loan? Union Home Mortgage wants you to know the average homeowner has over $200,000 of home equity available, and they can help you get access to your money quickly and easily. Go to UHM.com to get your cash estimate today. You'll score financial freedom with Union Home Mortgage, the official home lending sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Union Home Mortgage Corp is an equal housing opportunity lender. NMLS number 2229.
Keep your summer fun going in a new Toyota RAV4, America's best-selling SUV. Now through September 2nd, get 4.99 APR financing on a new 25 RAV4 or 5.99 on RAV4 Hybrid, excludes plugins, or lease a gas-powered RAV4 LE for $309 a month for 36 months with $36.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS, tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details or go to toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Experience Buckeye Game Day like never before. Welcome to the 1922 Club, the most exclusive space inside Ohio Stadium, where luxury meets tradition in the heart of Buckeye Nation. Enjoy upscale food and beverages and a game day atmosphere like no other. Create lasting memories with friends and mingling with other Buckeye fans, and celebrate every OHIO in ultimate comfort. Become a member of the 1922 Club today. Memberships are limited. Visit OhioStateBuckeyes.com.
Your home for Ohio State athletics, The Fan. You're listening to the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics.
Welcome back, everybody, into tonight's season kickoff show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast. Along with Jim Lachey and Paul Keels, I'm Skip Mossick. Our rundown of this year's opponents continues now with the Michigan Wolverines, November 29th up at the Big House, 8-5 a year ago, 5-4 in the Big Ten. Brian Bush from the Michigan Network joins us now. And Brian, how much is being made about I guess, building off of the way the season ended last year for Michigan with the upset here in Columbus and then obviously beating Alabama in the bowl game?
Yeah, Skip, always appreciate you guys having me on. It was interesting because going into really the week before the game, and Michigan really hadn't played all that well all season long. Certainly offensively, they found a little bit against Northwestern, and what they did in Columbus, that's always going to matter, of course, no matter what type of season it is. I think it's probably more of a snowball effect from the fan standpoint because the roster is significantly different, and with the uncertainty at quarterback, but knowing you will have a new starting quarterback. So, yeah, there's some momentum there. I think it's a prove-it type thing from Sharon Moore's standpoint, but there's still a lot that needs to be done. And yeah, you finish with a couple of big wins, but, anymore, if you're not contending or making a 12-team playoff, if you are a fan base like Michigan, like Ohio State, like some of the other big boys, you don't get there, and it still feels a little bit hollow, even if it was a great finish.
Brian, it certainly seems as though there's a lot of optimism about what Michigan might do defensively, and I guess that's surprising considering the guys, the key players up front that they lost.
Totally, Paul. And I think it's interesting because Wink Martindale, since he's gotten here, has talked about depth and depth and depth over and over. And while Michigan does not possess the high-end talent of the 5th overall pick in Mason Graham, the 13th overall pick in Kenneth Grant, and then a first-round talent who fell due to medicals in Will Johnson, they feel like, maybe their 8th or 12th or 16th best player is better this year than it was last season. Now, will that translate into a better defense than last season? Time will tell. But I do think Wink Martindale would prefer having a deeper group than that stars and scrubs. I don't mean to say scrubs, but a star-heavy defense that maybe, the middle of the pack starters aren't quite as emphatic as they would be maybe this year.
This year, Brian, I think you're looking probably for more consistency at quarterback. You had the ability to run the football last year and do some great things there. Looks like, Bryce Underwood's one of the guys, highly recruited guy. Last year, Michigan was able to, win 8 games, being last in the Big Ten with a passing attack. I'm sure that's got to improve this year. And again, another part of that question, who's going to replace Loveland? He was so great throughout his 4 years.
Yeah, Colson was outstanding, and I think it surprised a lot of people. He was the first tight end off the board with what Tyler Warren did at Penn State, but it was deserved. Colson, he was the pass-catching option on this team, and he also did a lot of other things. There's no doubt this team has to be better offensively, and it has to be a pretty significant overhaul. You see that with the coaching decision of bringing in Chip Lindsey. Michigan's always going to want to establish the run, have a good offensive line, but there's going to be some changes last year to this year, and there's a real chance Michigan is getting ready for the season with a true freshman quarterback and a true freshman left tackle. Andrew Babalola, 5-star kid, highly regarded. He's in the mix at left tackle. You get one kind of, build-up game against New Mexico, and then you're week 2 in Norman under the lights against Oklahoma. It'll be fascinating to watch. The upside, no question, is higher, but will they be able to hit that proper gear early enough? It's going to be tough at Oklahoma week 2, at Nebraska week 4.
Brian, we've seen what Samaj Morgan and Frederick Moore have done as wide receivers, but you bring in Donovan McCauley from Indiana, who we saw start at quarterback against Ohio State a few years ago when he was at the Hoosiers. Is this a guy that maybe can be an X factor on that offense?
Yeah, it's crazy, Paul. If you take out Davis Warren, who's probably not going to play most, if not all, of this year at quarterback due to his injury in the bowl game, Donovan McCauley leads Michigan in touchdown passes at the Big House. He threw one at Michigan for Indiana as well. So I don't think that'll be the case after week 1, but we'll see. If you talk about the drumbeat of the offseason, I don't think there has been a single player who has gotten more rave reviews around the program than Donovan McCauley. He's earned the prestigious number 1, which has been worn by so many Michigan greats. And that's as a year 1 player. It's really interesting to see. Expectations are high internally and externally. And they've got to find something there because for as much spotlight as there is at the quarterback position, whoever was under center for Michigan did not get a lot of benefit of the doubt from the wide receiver group either. And that has to change, and they think it will with a guy like McCauley being that potential wide receiver 1.
At running back, you brought in a guy from Alabama. What was it, Justin Haynes?
Justice Haynes, yeah.
Is he the guy that, he's going to be the number 1 back? I'm sure, like most teams, you'll have 2 or 3 that end up getting reps, but is he going to be the A back?
I think they want to do similar to what they had with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards a few years back with him and Jordan Marshall, who was the MVP of the bowl game against Alabama. He had more than 20 carries, ran for triple-digit yards, and the expectation is high for him. But I think an ideal running game breakdown is if those 2 guys are getting the bulk of the carries collectively. And then, yeah, you might go hot hand late third into the fourth quarter if one guy's really seizing it. But you'll see plenty of both those guys this year.
Brian Bush, we know the seasons always fly by. We will see you Thanksgiving weekend up in the big house. Brian Bush of the Michigan Radio Network, by the way, former state bowling champion here in the state of Ohio.
Right.
Proud of Walsh Jesuit. Walsh Jesuit. There you go, Brian, okay?
Hey, you always have to say it, Skip. And despite the rivalry, it's great to talk to my favorite radio crew in the Big Ten. Appreciate you guys.
See you, Brian. We'll see you soon.
There's pictures to prove that, too.
Last on the opponent list is Rutgers, who will be here in Columbus on November 22nd. Knights guys were 7-5 a year ago, 4-5 in the Big Ten. They lost to Kansas State in their bowl game. They lose bruising back Kyle Monungai, but still some talent in that backfield with Antoine Raymond and transfer C.J. Campbell in from Florida Atlantic. Can the Knights continue to take strides in improvement?
Well, and Skip, I think a big key in that, too, is Ethan Kaliak-Manis, the transfer from Minnesota, back at quarterback. It'll be his third straight year starting in the Big Ten at quarterback. But we all knew that once Greg Schiano went back to Rutgers, that was going to be the ingredient that really was needed to, number one, try and get them stabilized with recruiting within their own state, because Ohio State and others were raiding that state for some of its top players. But having Kirk Soraka back as offensive coordinator, too, where they've had such inconsistency, now they seem to be stable at both head coach and offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and again, a lot of it goes to the head coach, Greg Schiano, what he's able to do to that program. Brought some confidence back. I mean, 2 straight bowl games. I mean, when can we say that about Rutgers since they joined the Big Ten, that they were going to bowl games? And he's got them on the right track. Now they needed to add some people. They needed some pass rushers. They needed some linebackers to step up. They found their quarterback, it looks like. They're going to have to lean on that running game because that's kind of what they do. But when you play Rutgers, it's always all 3 phases. They'll throw all kind of junk at you. We saw that with special teams over the years. So you have to be well prepared when you play against Rutgers and know that, you're going to get their best.
How come I can only picture Schiano going and screaming at Ryan Day? Last time.
The fake punt that wasn't a fake punt was because they decided they didn't want to cover the whole right side of the punt coverage.
When's the last time you saw a coach run all the way from the opposite sideline to Ohio State sideline?
But we saw Joe Paterno do that when he had to go to the restroom.
Coming up, we will circle back and talk more about this year's Ohio State team as our season kickoff show continues.
More of the Season Kickoff Show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast coming up on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Cheers to a great day and this ice-cold Corona.
You know what would make this day even better? My grandma's carne asada.
Or your grandma here with us, making carne asada.
She does love a cold Corona.
Throw in some dancing.
We can watch the game.
I'll drink to that.
So a backyard concert with football, food, dancing, and Corona?
And your grandma.
Or we could keep it simple.
Simple is good. Want a Corona?
Thanks. Salud to the perfect day.
Corona, la vida más fina. Get your Corona at ordercorona.com. Relax responsibly. Corona Extra Beer, imported by Crown Import, Chicago, Illinois.
Now, the officials have been talking for quite some time.
All righty, let's see what they have to say.
Upon further review, there is no penalty on the play. However, we have conferred and discovered that Bob, the line judge, has saved a boatload for his kids' college using Ohio's 529 plan. It is tax-free, accepted nationwide. Bob recommends we all go to collegeadvantage.com. First down.
Well, that's not entirely unexpected.
Classic Bob.
As the official hot dog of Ohio State athletics, Sugardale is dedicated to delicious. Whether you're cheering on the Buckeyes at the game or grilling at your home tailgate, you can count on Sugardale to score a touchdown. Made right here in Ohio for more than 100 years, Sugardale has always taken a personal approach to making great-tasting, high-quality meats. Look for Sugardale hot dogs, bacon, ham, and more at your local grocery store.
Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safelite Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at safelite.com. Safelite Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
They're trained. They're prepared.
Let's do it.
They're Ohio's undefeated plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling team. And they're here to tackle your problems.
For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call The Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Buckeye fans, this is for you. Level up with the brand new AAA Buckeyes MVP membership. You'll receive all the benefits of AAA, such as 24/7 roadside assistance, plus chances to win tickets to OSU sporting events, access to exclusive MVP experiences, along with 10% off gear at the Ohio State Team Shop. Already a AAA member? Add the Buckeyes MVP membership upgrade for free. Head to AAA.com/Buckeyes to join the squad and put your fandom in drive.
AEP Energy wants to know if you're ready to say goodbye to higher rates and hello to savings. Get your energy costs under control by locking in a fixed rate for your electricity supply. You'll lower your bills and get price protection from rising rates. Take control and lock in a low fixed rate. Visit AEPenergy.com/OSU to get started. AEP Energy, the official electricity and natural gas sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. AEP Energy is a competitive retail electrical and natural gas service provider and affiliate of Ohio Power Company, AEP Ohio. AEP Energy is not soliciting on behalf of and is not an agent of AEP Ohio.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Welcome back, everybody, into tonight's season kickoff show presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast. Tonight's show, as well as all of our upcoming Buckeye Roundtable shows, will be available on our flagship station's YouTube page. Just search WBNS Radio. You can view the show live or afterwards each week. Again, search WBNS Radio on YouTube for that. With Jim Lachey and Paul Keels, I'm Skip Mossick. Again, Ohio State opens the season a week from Saturday against Texas, 12 noon kickoff from Ohio Stadium. We've run down the entire schedule, guys. I want to ask you real quickly about a couple of teams not on Ohio State's schedule this season. Let's begin with Indiana. Can the Hoosiers repeat from an exceptional year under Curt Cignetti?
I think it's going to be tough to do, Skip, because, number one, their schedule is going to be a little more difficult throughout the course of the year, and certainly what they got out of the quarterback position was a big reason why they had the success. They now have brought in Mendoza, the transfer from California, so they don't have Curtis Rourke to play at the level he did. They've got some pieces back defensively that could make them competitive on that side, but certainly what Coach Cignetti has established there has given them a good baseline to operate from. But again, I think the schedule, they did what they needed to do with the schedule they had. Yeah. No excuses for that, but it's going to be a little more challenging this year.
I thought Curt Cignetti did a fabulous job last year and kind of caught some people by surprise. I don't think that's going to be the case in year two. I don't think anybody's going to be caught on surprise because of the success that the Hoosiers had last year. And you're right. I think Curtis Rourke was a big part of what they were able to do offensively. He really delivered the ball well throughout the course of the season and, played some of his best football, except when he got to, Columbus against Ohio State and the crowd noise really came on. And by the way, Ryan Day wants that same crowd noise against the Longhorns where they can't even use the silent count because they couldn't communicate up front. And you saw the disruption it caused for Indiana and their offensive line and offensive group in that ball game. But yeah, I think it's going to be tough for those guys to duplicate what they did last year. But, they got a chance to get into playoffs in the first extended, and, they're going to live off of that for a while.
You can say the same thing or ask the same question about Ohio State, but will Oregon, who has some holes to fill, will Oregon be as good as they were last year? And
especially at quarterback, although the young man that is kind of projected, even though they've got a quarterback supposed battle going on, but the guy that most likely will get it was a backup to Dylan Gabriel last year and a transfer from UCLA. But, with what they've done from a coaching standpoint, certainly NIL, they're, certainly well equipped to take care of that. So it's to win the Big Ten might be a challenge this year, but to be certainly one of the teams at the top, then not surprised at all.
Well, they call him Uncle Phil out there.
Yeah.
He builds everything for him. It's Phil Knight. So, I think he'll make sure that I got a lot of respect for Dan Lanning. I think he's done a great job, coaching football, acquiring talent. He's got a talented coach. We know that they're going to be a team now. Dylan Gabriel, he made some things happen. He made some people miss. He was good with his feet. Certainly he can put the ball in the air and the guys can make plays. Can they do it again and run through the Big Ten like they did last year? I think it's going to be a little bit tougher year two for them.
Can USC be back to where they're used to being?
Not sure. That was a program that really just fell off, and especially on the defensive side of things. If they can be better defensively, then they certainly have a chance. And, this is a pivotal year for Lincoln Riley. A lot of people seem to think that seat's warming a little bit, but, defensively was certainly where they had issues.
Besides, looking back at Pete Carroll, who did a fabulous job at USC, and John Robinson, it's really hasn't been consistent, there at USC like it should be. I mean, I think if you look at USC in the 80s and the 90s and, when Coach Carroll was there, they were a team that you had to worry about each and every year. I mean, they had players just to get it done, but it just hadn't been that same Trojan, fight-on team that we've seen in the past. I think this is, like Paul mentioned, a pivotal year. Obviously for Lincoln Riley and that whole football staff.
I think they've been hurt by Oregon's success getting kids out of L.A.
Yeah.
The opener against Texas for Ohio State, it's about as marquee as you're going to get anytime you open with number one in the country, especially when you're a top three team yourself. It doesn't get much bigger than this. There has been some big openers in the past at Ohio State where they've opened against top 25 opponents. It's been rare. Like I said, going back to Notre Dame just a few years ago in 2022, I'm going to say Washington was in the top 20 in 03 when they were in here. You remember back to Penn State in 78, obviously prior to coming into the Big Ten. That was Art Schleister's first game. Ohio State lost that one. Kickoff Classics, 79. Miami in 99. Alabama, 86. Boston College in 95. So 3 Kickoff Classics, and Ohio State was 1 and 2 in those games.
Well, remember that game at West Virginia, too. There was a lot of big build-up for that. But, the fact that these two teams just recently played in the playoff, I think certainly with Arch Manning now having the quarterback position at Texas certainly has a lot to do with that. But also the fact that with the playoff system being the way it is, maybe some of the different wrinkles, the fact that, as you said at the top, Skip, a loss isn't necessarily damaging to whoever loses.
Texas, there's a lot of familiarity. Obviously when they're playing Ohio State now, we had Chip Kelly last year. He's in the NFL with the Raiders. You look at Jim Knowles, he's over at Penn State. So we got a new coordinator, Matt Patricia, who's doing a good job so far, but that's going to be the first big test for everybody. And then obviously, for Brian Hartline, calling the plays against it. So both those guys going to be under some pressure. They got to, not only study, what Ohio State and personnel, but the coaches. And, it's hard to get a bead on what Brian's going to do because, it's his thing. And obviously Ryan Day's going to have a big influence on that. And then on the defensive side, what's Matt Patricia going to do? Is it you go back and you study New England film, the Lion film? What do you do to kind of prepare? That's going to be, something that Texas is going to have to worry about.
Fellas, the 2 hours have flown by. The Buckeye Roundtables begin next week. Those fly by as always. Great job tonight, Jim. Super job tonight, Paul.
Thank you. Likewise.
Again, all of our regular season programming begins next week. Buckeye Roundtable on Monday night. Ryan Day show next Thursday. And obviously the opener against Texas on the 30th, 12 noon kickoff at Ohio Stadium. Our season kickoff show has been presented by the American Dairy Association Mideast and brought to you statewide by Encova Insurance and by your Central Ohio Toyota dealers. For Colin Behringer and for Jim Lachey and Paul Keels, I'm Skip Mossick. As always, thank you for listening. This is the Ohio State Sports Network presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Grown-ups, don't go back to school. Go forward through school into your future as an IT professional. Whether you're starting out, switching careers, or a veteran ready for change, My Computer Career can help you get into IT in just a few short months with no prior experience. So take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Your rewarding career in IT awaits. That's mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the VA benefits.
Ever wonder where your go-to maintenance person gets the metal products they need to fix yours and everyone else's problems? The best in the business go to Metal Supermarkets for their wide variety of metal products and shapes to tackle projects from simple to complex. Metal Supermarkets is your source for all metals cut to size and ready fast. No minimum order with maximum service. Visit the family-owned franchise on North Wilson Road or at Columbus at metalsupermarkets.com.
At Baths R Us, we believe home improvement is life improvement, and that starts with the team who brings your vision to life. Our installers aren't just skilled, they're experts.
This is who we are. This is what we do all day, every day.
Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel. Plus, low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsrus.com. 380-225-2284. Baths R Us, where dreams soak in.
Hi, I'm Rick Germain, and it's the Toyota National Sales Event all month long at Toyota West. With over 600 new and pre-owned vehicles available, Toyota West at I-270 and Georgesville Road has the car you're looking for. And right now at Toyota West, take advantage of no payments for 90 days, and every pre-owned vehicle comes with a 72-hour exchange policy plus a 3-month warranty for qualified vehicles. Come see us at the Germain Auto Mall on Georgesville Road or get started today at ToyotaWest.com. No payments for 90 days. Deferred payment. Interest accrued at time of inception with approved credit. Expires 8/31.
At High Bank Distillery, they believe every pour should tell a story. Their Whiskey War spirits tell the story of Prohibition in every sip and was awarded the best blended whiskey in America 3 years running. Enjoy High Bank's nationally recognized spirits distilled right here in Ohio. Drink the best. Forget the rest. Learn more at highbankdistillery.com.
Tailgate season is here, and if your grill makes you have to duck when you light it, it's time for an upgrade. Billiards Plus carries top-of-the-line grills that you can pass down to your kids and gifts the whole family will enjoy. Family-owned and operated. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix that's guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with lower prices on over 1,000 items. Hand it to Kroger shoppers. You never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
Save big on eggs. Right now, 18-count cartons of large grade A Kroger brand eggs are on sale for just $3.49 each with your digital coupon. Kroger. Fresh for